Hello, my name is Travis, and today I'm going to tell you about why salary cap should stay implemented in the NFL. So salary cap, for those of you who don't know, is a cap on the amount of money that teams can spend in professional sports. So the NFL, they have a salary cap. Major League Baseball does not have a salary cap. So for example, the Green Bay Packers are a football team in the NFL, and they are limited in the amount of money that they can spend on players. They can only spend, in 2017, the Packers could only spend $169 million on players. In Major League Baseball, for example, the Los Angeles Dodgers don't have a salary cap, and they wound up spending almost $269 million on their players. And if you know anything about football or baseball, you know that football, there's a lot more players on the team than in baseball. So you can kind of see the NFL spends less money on more players. You can look at it that way. So a lot of us around here are probably passionate about something. I'm passionate about football. I like the Packers, as you can see. And it's kind of sad to say the NFL, the competitiveness in the NFL could be destroyed if the salary cap is uplifted. So if there's no salary cap, the NFL, the competitiveness in the NFL will be reduced, and taxpayers may even have to pay more for new NFL facilities and stadiums. So first I'll talk about the competitiveness in the NFL. So without having a salary cap, teams are forced to allocate their money effectively. They can't just go out and throw money at players. They have to allocate their resources effectively, or else they're not going to be relevant in winning championships or Super Bowls. In the past 10 years, in the past 10 seasons in the NFL, there has been 9 different Super Bowl winners. 9 different ones. Only one team has won 2 Super Bowls in the past 10 years. If you look at Major League Baseball, on the other hand, who doesn't have a salary cap, there's been only 7 different teams. So that means 3 years there's been repeat championship teams. And that just shows how having a salary cap increases the competitiveness in a league. So the solution to the problem. So if the salary cap in the NFL were to be uplifted, it would create a big problem, as I stated earlier. The competitiveness in the NFL would dwindle. There would be a few super teams, kind of like as we see in the NBA. There would be a few super teams and a bunch of teams that are terrible. So if we don't want that to happen, we need to lobby for the NFL to keep their salary cap in place. They need to keep their salary cap in place, or else competitiveness in the league will be reduced, and it'll just overall be a worse league, and it'll destroy something I'm very passionate about, which is competitive football. So I interviewed a content producer for Acme production company. His name is Matt Matonich. As I said, he's a content producer. He's been an avid football fan for years now. I asked him, I said, Matt, do you think that the NFL should keep their salary cap system the way it is, or should they go to a type of salary cap system such as the MLB has? And he said, no. He echoes kind of what I believe, that the NFL should keep their salary cap structure the way it is, because without it, the competitiveness is gone. There's going to be a couple super teams. The league's not going to be good. It also underlines the importance of good coaching. You have to have good coaching and good drafting to keep your roster up to par. You can't just go out and buy success. Even more so impressive, Jared Diamond, a Wall Street Journal writer, has a quote in an article that he wrote. It's very interesting to me. It kind of underlines the importance of having a salary cap system. The quote is, "Winning a Super Bowl is not just an impressive achievement in athleticism. It is in many ways an even more impressive achievement in accounting." That's very fascinating to me. A lot of people would think that in order to win Super Bowls, you have to have the best players, the most talent, when in reality, you just need to manage your money well, have good money management. So I've shown you what would happen if the cap should, I've shown you why the cap should stay, but what if it's taken away? So if the salary cap is taken away, the NFL will lose revenue, as it will become less entertaining, and the parity and competitiveness will decrease. The problem we all face as fans and as taxpayers even is simple. So I've kind of talked about how the league will be less competitive without a salary cap. But us as taxpayers may even have to pay more money out of our own pockets to finance new NFL stadiums and facilities. So if there's no salary cap in the NFL, owners are going to spend more money on players. When they spend more money on players, they'll have less money to fund their new stadiums. So that money has to come from somewhere. So as Minnesotans, we all know that the Minnesota Vikings recently built the new US Bank Stadium. The US Bank Stadium, according to Eric Roper from the Star Tribune, was actually a good chunk of it was funded by the sales tax that came from Minnesota gamblers. So if you think about it this way, we already have sales tax, we pay sales tax. We already paid for a good chunk of the US Bank Stadium. Now if there's less private funds to fund those stadiums and facilities, that's going to result in even more taxpayer money needing to be used. So many lessons have been learned today, including what a salary cap is, how it keeps professional sports competitive, and how lifting it creates less private funds for new stadiums, which ultimately causes taxpayers to foot the bill. We as sports fans and taxpayers should root for the NFL to keep their salary cap structure the way it is. It's fascinating. Winning a Super Bowl requires immense talent and coaching, but requires even more financial management than most can imagine. I hope you all can see the benefits of having a salary cap and the benefit it creates in our pocketbooks and our environments, but also realize the consequences that come if the cap is abolished. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Do you think the character of a team, so like the identity of what a team is, so let's say Green Bay Packers, for example, you got somebody who's born in Milwaukee, who's been trying to did high school football, college football, then got accepted to the Packers. Do you think that person might go to the Packers just because of the identity of being a Packers football player versus just the cost of it? So in essence, do you think that even if there was a salary cap, that the identity of being a football player for that team would be more important than the money?
So I think if there's not a salary cap in that example, if that player's good, they could be offered, their contract that they're offered could be way inflated from like Jacksonville, for example. They could throw a lot of money at that player, and those are kind of big decisions that a player would have to make. You're not just going to leave $4 million a year more on the table just because you want to be a Packer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But if there's a salary cap in that situation, the offers might be pretty similar. The Jacksonville deal, for example, would be much more inflated.
In 5 minutes at 9 p.m. The library will be closing in 5 minutes